What a movie! Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Liam Catterson here, but you already knew that, and today we are going to be reviewing Rogue One, a Star Wars story that I've just come back to the cinema and... sorry Civil War, but you're pushed down to number 2 on my list of 2016 movies that have been the best, because Rogue One definitely has for me. I just love that film so much. To say it exceeded my expectations is probably the biggest understatement of the year, but holy Jesus, I just loved that from start to finish. I'll go on about it. I'm going to give 2 sides to this. I'm going to give a spoiler review at the end, but first I'm going to kick off with a non-spoiler review because it makes things easier. So if you want to check out the spoiler review and that, then you can click now. But first we're going to the non-spoiler review, so you guys are safe unless you accidentally click the spoiler tab. So just get off quickly. So, okay, I felt that, to me, there was a bit of comedy and drama in there, as well as action. Comedy I can get onto in a bit, because most of the comedy was devised by one character that I love so much. But, that's going on to spoilers, I guess. Even though it's not a spoiler, but still, you don't want to be ruined when you first see the film and that, and what he says and that. But I will say, from watching the trailers, you know, he's more funnier when you see him on the big screen. So, anyways, I will first. Yes, like I said, it was a great, mix of comedy, but mainly action drama as well. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's one of the best films I've ever seen, and there's quite a list of them. I can understand why a lot of people have gone to the length to say it's up there with Empire Strikes Back, because it is. The script was well written, I'm going to say that. It, from start to finish, it felt so, well organised. It was so interesting, and it was so... You know what was going to happen at the end. We all knew that what it was, the synopsis. But it was still shocking regardless, because, you felt there was a lot at stake. I had a feeling that they would water it down so it does not become too competitive with, the 7 films. I was going to say 6, but then I would have forgotten The Force Awakens. But yeah, I did feel they were going to try and water it down a bit. No, they didn't, and I'm glad they didn't, because this was so fun to watch. It was one of the best things I've ever seen in the cinema. I've never felt that exhilaration of being in the cinema through what they've presented since Rush, basically. And like I said, Civil War was up there, but I think the roller coaster of emotions for Rogue One never ended. The characters, I felt, were written really well. I think everyone had an integral role. I think nobody was redundant, I guess you could say. There was characters that had different personalities and different stories to them, and how they were introduced was really great. They were introduced in different ways and that, but they were still great to watch. All the characters were amazing, and all the actors playing them, they played them well, especially Felicity Jones. So, yeah, I really loved the characters so much, and K2SO, my favourite droid ever. I want a K2SO with me, all times. And it won't be long before people start, petitioning, like they do with Boba Fett and whatnot, for a K2SO movie. Because I will go into that in a bit, but you know what? I think if there is a person who didn't like K2SO, I will slap the shit out of you. No, but I think he was more of the light in this story, I guess you could say, but that's, like I said, that's going into spoilers, so I will, talk about that later on. I'll also give a mention to Krennic as well, who was the protagonist of the film, and, he was acted really well, of course. Like I said, about everyone who played the characters, they played them really well, but he was also a really interesting character. I really loved his plot and that, the plot surrounding him and that, and he was a pretty awesome character to watch. But his scenes with Vader and that, I won't say anything about that scene, but you know, everyone knows because he has an important role, a relationship with Vader, and, you know, they've seen that in the trailer, of course, him confronting him, but I think that was a pretty awesome moment as well. But, you know, he was a pretty interesting character to watch. He's up there with the standout characters though. Like I said, everyone was had great characters, but you had those standout characters. You had Jyn, K2SO, you had Galen as well. But speaking of Vader, everyone of course knows he's in the film, and of course that's one of the most interesting, you know, points you want to you know, get talking about. Overall for Vader though, I think he was a pretty, you know what, he was used right. One thing I'm glad they didn't do with Vader, I guess you could say, is with you know, with the trailers, kind of like Jared Leto's Joker. That was one of the biggest complaint points of Suicide Squad, and they didn't really do that with Vader, which was good, because otherwise that would have become the same problem with Rogue One, if the same effect happened with Suicide Squad. But everyone knew Vader was going to be in it with the trailers, so that you didn't really need so many scenes with him in the trailers just to hype him up and that. But he was still, it was still great to hear his voice again, because it was just so awesome. Like, you get that classical feel, and he was used right as well. One thing I did forget, and you know, this is typical of me, but those who watched my latest Death Stranding reaction will know that Mads Mikkelsen, yeah, I can never say that name right, yeah, he was in it, and yeah, I'll go on about him a bit more because there's quite a bit to say about him. But no, overall the film was great. I loved it so much. There are references, of course, because this takes place between episode 3 and 4. Spoilers. Well, that's not really a spoiler. I know, I was just kidding. But like I said, there will be references, but there are some stuff that I will talk about. You know, I'm just teasing you guys at the minute, but that's because when you go and see the movies yourself, those who have not seen it already, you will come back to this and say, yeah, he was right, you know. You had a lot of characters for the episode itself, and, you know, with that, a lot of people might think it might become a bit oversaturated, and, you know, some characters will get lost in the shuffle, I guess, but I didn't really think about that. I thought, like I said, all the characters, all the actors, they played them really well, and it was so interesting to see. The plot itself, of course, it was simple enough to follow, but it was really, like I said, it was written really well, and that was one of the great points about the story, if I'm honest. I really felt like it was one of the strongest scripts I've ever seen, and it did feel like it was segregated into acts, into one story, and that's how I felt. Like, in my mind, I felt like some kind of clear division between one half and the other, and I'm not sure if anyone else feels like that, but it really felt well written. I won't say anything about the final scenes, but you will love it. But like I said, it was written so well, and to an extent that it wasn't, you know, like I said, oversaturated and whatnot. You'll guys find out what I mean, but in my spoiler review I'm gonna mention that. One of the great things about Rogue One as well was the cinematography of the film. Like, there were some scenes where you could just sit and like, that's beautiful, that's sexy. No, but I'm not going to say which scenes, of course, but, you know, I was sitting there in the cinema thinking, you know, that's a sick shot, that's brilliant. But also, you know, there were some scenes with massive spoilers in them that was just beautiful to watch and awesome. That kind of applies to the effects in some scenes, because the effects were there was lots of effects, but my god, they were beautiful, they were amazing. It felt so juicy to watch. It was pretty awesome. I just loved the film, I just loved everything. The music as well. The music was really, you know, I really loved the music. There will be a couple of scores that you will recognise, but they don't want to, you know, recycle music, and they, you know, added a lot of new music in, which was beautiful, which was really great. It was really, you know, emotional at times, and it really fits with a lot of the scenes like that, you know, will come up. But I don't know. I don't think there's a bad word to say about Rogue One, because I really enjoyed it. I didn't, like, everyone's giving it praise, and I can see why. Like I said, a lot of people see this as one of the best movies next to Empire Strikes Back, and I can see why. I just can't find a bad word. I might do in the future, like I have done with Batman v Superman, but there was no scenes near as bad as that. Like, I struggle to think of what could, you know, be a hindrance for this movie to be strong, because it was so good. I loved it so much. I just left the cinema in total shock and happiness, like, holy shit, because that's how awesome it was. But overall, I think the movie itself, I want to say 10 out of 10, because that's how I feel it would be. It might be a 9.8, but I'm just going to leave. You're not going to, I can't put it anywhere at an 8 out of 10. I think 9 out of 10 might be a bit low, so. No, but overall, the story was written great. The characters, they were played well, and they were represented well. The music, super, loved it, beautiful. And the effects were just godly, basically. It was so great. And I didn't really think, like I said, I didn't really think this film would be in contention with Empire Strikes Back or something like that. I think it would be okay, brilliant. But even that's an understatement, because of how amazing Rogue One was. At the end, I feel like Rogue One has that classical feel into it, and that's great. That's what they should be aiming for, and it also feels new. I don't think they ruined anything, to be fair. I think they added, if anything. I think they, you know, kind of, you know, spread to the classics and gave it a touch of magic even more. So, like I said, this movie was just amazing. I felt it didn't ruin anything. I felt it was just powerful. And like I said, there was emotion at times, but there's a lot of scenes you can cherish, a lot of scenes that will be memorable, like historic. I know that seems to be the case with all Star Wars films, I guess, even Episode 2 maybe, but I think there's a lot of scenes in Rogue One that makes it a historic film, so that's my spoiler-free review. So, like I said, a brilliant film. I won't repeat the same stuff as it would be suggested to watch the spoiler-free one, because it's just a basic summarising of how I felt about the film, and you know, without delving into spoilers. But I will be picking out points from now on, I'm going to be picking out points within the film that are spoilerific, and there are huge spoilers in this, so I'm giving you guys a chance to get off. Okay, so I've given you guys the chance to leave, and now we're going to be in dangerous territory, so let's discuss. Let's talk about one of the highlights of the build-up to Rogue One, Darth Vader. Ooh, that ending scene with him, oh my god, I was terrified. And I'm just going to say it like this, if this is Darth Vader's last, like, physical appearance in the films and that, then that's a great way to end on, because he was so terrifying. You know, Darth Vader, you know, he is one of the, you know, hype, I guess you could say, one of the main hype for the film, but he's not really, you know, the main character, I guess, you know, the main focus. And I think if you were to build more upon Vader, it would take away a bit from the film. No, but Vader was terrifying in that final scene, though. I was just like, holy shit. Like, I think a few years ago, I think I would be pissing myself. Well, not a few years ago, maybe 10, but no, that scene, though, was just so inspiring. It was so epic. It was so, whew. It was great to hear James Earl Jones back in the voice of Vader, because, you know, nobody else could voice Vader, in my opinion. He's just the man behind the voice. So, where to next? I think the beach battle on Scarif, I think it's called. I can't remember, but something like that. I'll probably get corrected. But I think the beach battle there was pretty awesome. But not just that, I think the space battle was as well. Like, you had the beach battle, you had the space battle, and it was so great. Like, how they cut it at times, how they were... It was so great, and the action itself was just one of the best things I've ever seen. Like, like, for both space and beach battles, of course. Like, you saw new elements with classical features, like the AT-AT, like, you saw how they were destroyed, and it was like, holy shit. But, I think there was a lot of great... One thing I did like, though, was those two Star Destroyers colliding. Like, the one Star Destroyer colliding with another. That was just like, no, that's just insane. I was just losing my shit at that point. Can we talk about K2SO? Because he was one of the best things ever. I know I said it in my spoiler-free review that I want a K2SO, but my god, he was, you know, like I said that he was the light on the situation. Like, there were dark times in that episode, like Galen dying and that in Jin's arms, I guess you could say. But, you know, when the going got tough, like, it was just so... Oh, he was just amazing. I was sad when he died, okay? I was, like, heartbroken because you do not kill K2SO. It was just amazing. But yeah, I'm just going to say that he was great. I think the favourite line, I think it was Cassian and Jin when they were held prisoners and that, and it was like, prisoners? No, but the lines he came out with, I just want to give him a medal. He's the best droid ever, and I don't think that could ever be capitalised, ever. Like, you got BB-8, who's like the cutest droid ever. You got K2SO, who's like one of the best ever. And how he was, like, another great thing about K2SO is the action sequences. Like, sometimes he was slick, like, when he was firing the blaster. But when he used the bombs and that, he was just like... badass, total badass. So K2SO is one of the best things to ever happen in life, so just leaving it there. I did want to talk about Matt Mikkelson's character. There we go. Because, like I said, I felt that he was really important, and I think that's an understatement. Because, you know, now you can watch episode 4 and think, that's because of Matt, that's because of Galen. Yeah, like I said, he was probably an imperative character, if I'm going to say that, because he was a lot of people was like, oh, so how come they left the little exhaust port on the Death Star? That's because of Mads. And I think how they written like that, oh, it's rather than, oh, I forgot to patch it up or whatever. I think how they writ that was really great because, you know, he wasn't like, oh, he's just someone who's clumsy and that. He was thinking about Jin as well, and you know, that kind of built to the prologue, which was written well as well. So, and I'm glad that had some purpose to the majority of the film, I guess you could say. But no, I really liked Galen, and especially his chemistry with Jin. Although it was always emotional whenever he was with Jin. I know there was a few scenes, but well, that's the point, wasn't it? But I will say that the death kind of got to me in a way, but yeah, that was great. I think Galen was a great character for the short amount of time. But like I said, important character, and he's an important asset to the franchise, basically. Now, like I said, there were references and, you know, cameos as well. Like, there was characters returning. Like, you already knew Darth Vader was returning, of course. But there was characters I did not expect to see. Like, I did not expect to see Grand Moff Tarkin returning. And it seems like I will have assumed they had a different actor obviously play him, but Jesus, that was great. I think they utilised, correct me if I'm wrong, but there were times where I was thinking, you know, that kind of does look really, really similar to Peter Cushing. And I'm having the assumption that they kind of used some CGI performance on him, because, you know, it's not going to be like the end of Star Wars 3 where you see Tarkin on board, but just leave a few seconds. He didn't look anything like him, of course. Plus, that was 20 years ago when he was younger, so appearances can change. But no, spot on. Like, the appearance, the voice was spot on. I really loved him. Leia at the end had me fangirling. Like, I had to cover myself because I was going to scream when I saw Leia at the end. And, Jesus, I was so happy with that. One of the great things, though, about this film, like I said, is the missing piece. How it's, like, the missing piece of the film. It's not like Metal Gear Solid 5 missing piece, where you have more missing pieces, but I just loved how they went from, you know, the last scene of Rogue One, and you just knew that the next moment to happen there was going to be the beginning of A New Hope. So, when Rogue One is officially released on DVD, I expect to see that scene and the beginning of Episode 4 mashed into one video, because that was so awesome. Like, I wanted to lose my shit at the end of the film, especially with Vader being terrifying as he is, Leia's appearance. Another thing that I really loved, though, you know, was 3PO and R2. I did not expect to see them, and everyone in the cinema was shocked. So I think they weren't expecting him as well. But also, you know, when Luke bumped into, like, that alien at the bar as well, that was a nice little touch there, and I really loved that. I was like, that's awesome. I'm glad they didn't oversaturate the returns too much, though. Like, it was mainly cameos apart from Tarkin, who was an important piece in the episode, and, you know, that's great to see, because, you know, he was an important piece from Episode 4, and, you know, it would kind of be a bit missing. I think that would be a bit missing if he was not in it much, but great to see Tarkin's involvement in Rogue One. There's not much to say, I guess, that I've already said from the spoiler-free review. I'm just pointing out moments that I did love about, you know, Rogue One that are spoilerific. You know, Vader's appearance, which was terrifying, but there is one more thing that I'd like to say, though, and even though, like, we kind of, there will be a lot of people who will be saying, yep, called it, everyone died, and in some ways it did shock me, but it didn't. Like, I don't know, I was hoping that at least one person would have survived, but no, apparently everyone must die, but I guess that kind of, you know, compensates for them not appearing in, you know, future films, I guess you could say, future installments of Star Wars, and I don't know, they may have utilised it, I don't know, for them to be injured, I guess, like no more taking part in the war and whatnot, but yeah, I think it was probably the right call, but at the end of the day, I think, you know, I was expecting to see one, even though everyone else said everyone would die. But overall, I think that Star Wars Rogue One, definitely a missing piece in, you know, the Star Wars. Like, it deserves to be there. Like I said, one of the best films I've ever seen, and it was just so amazing. You know, the beach battle, like I alluded to, was insane. I think all the battle scenes were pretty awesome. Especially, you know, the blind guy, I can't remember his name, but I'll look it up after I see, after I've done with this review, but the way he took out those stormtroopers was just amazing. It was pretty awesome. No, but like I said, all the battle scenes was pretty intense. I did like how, you know, they were wanting Galen dead at the start, and that kind of became a bit of an issue with Jyn and Cassian, but you know, I said, you know, well, to myself, of course, because I was only there, and plus no talking in the cinemas, but I said that either he's not going to do it and there's going to be some kind of affection towards Jyn, or shit's going to go down later on when Jyn finds out if he does kill him. But no, that scene on that planet, though, that's another thing. I'm glad they explored a lot of different planets, and I liked how they, you know, described it in the little left corner, but that was pretty good. I loved the different kind of planet. Like, we saw new planets and we saw an old planet. I think it was the only returning planet that was in Rogue One, Yavin 4, so that was pretty awesome to see. But no, that was, like I said, overall, brilliant movie, and, you know, I would watch it again and again and again. Like I said, one of the best movies that I've ever seen, and yeah, I'm feeling that it's not going to be buried beneath Civil War. I mean, I liked Civil War so much, but Rogue One felt so much better. As a Star Wars fan, you know, this is one of the best things to happen, and I'm glad they went along. Maybe this can be, obviously this is a standalone film, not like, it is connected, but it's not like episode 1, 2, 3, you know. Maybe this can pave the way for the Han Solo movie or any future movies that they do, like Rogue One. So that is all. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope this, you know, has you agreeing on some stuff. Maybe it hasn't. Maybe you felt that Rogue One was bad. Tell me why, because I'm struggling to find out what was bad about Rogue One. But overall, I really loved that film so much, and I'm glad I saw it. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. So, Rogue One rules. So you can check out my Catterblogs Feeling Festive vlog. It's a great vlog, and it's got some information that you might guys want to find out, especially considering a change for me in the Reactors League. What's that about? You can also check out my Captain America Honest trailer reaction, which was awesome to watch. You can also subscribe to my media feeds and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys next time. Toodles!